Now, just to underline the idiocy of Albanese's plan and how it's just a vanity project of the far left, the American Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, also piled into the Albanese government overnight.
Meaningless, right? It's symbolic, and they're doing it primarily for one reason, and that is their internal politics, their domestic politics. Yeah, the truth of the matter is that the future of that region is not going to be decided by some UN resolution. It's not going to be decided by some press release by a prime minister or a president from some country. It's going to be decided on the ground. In fact, but all these statements are meaningless. Like they're not going to change anything.
Joining me from Tel Aviv is Eylon Levy, who was the official spokesman for the Israeli government. He now runs a podcast called Israel, State of a Nation. Eylon Levy, thank you so much for your time. I've admired your work on the internet for some time. Look, a co-founder of Hamas, Sheikh Hassan Youssef, has just praised our Prime Minister for his courage in recognising a Palestinian state. Why does this matter?
I hope the Australian government is holding some serious crisis talks to discuss how on earth they ended up on the same side as a globally proscribed terrorist jihadi organization. By the way, it's the second time in 2 weeks that Hamas is thanking Australia. Hamas thanked Penny Wong 2 weeks ago for joining a foreign minister's statement that blamed Israel for the humanitarian crisis in Gaza instead of the Hamas regime that is hijacking aid. But here's why it really matters. Because Australia is rewarding Hamas for the October 7th massacre and encouraging more terrorism, more barbaric atrocities against Israeli civilians. And you can't say you weren't warned, because last week Hamas said that recognition of a Palestinian state is one of the fruits of October 7th. It said that it was one of the great historic achievements of the decision to gun down Israelis at a music festival, burn families in their homes, and take over 250 hostages, 50 of whom they're still holding in dungeons under Gaza. So look, it's not too late to climb down from this tree, to reverse course. I think Hamas is giving Australia, the Australian government here, a ladder to climb down from this tree. There's no shame in saying, we made a mistake, we were wrong, we don't want to be on the same side of Hamas, we're on the same side as our democratic ally, Israel.
Yeah, dream on. Unfortunately, watching Albanese blunder around in the Middle East is like watching children play in a minefield. Albanese Prime Minister says it's recognising this Palestinian state next month because Mahmoud Abbas, the leader of the Palestinian Authority that runs the West Bank, has promised him to stop Hamas taking over, has promised him that he'll hold elections, and promised him he'll clean up corruption in his Palestinian Authority and he'll stop paying pensions to the family of terrorists. And of course then Abbas's Fatah party then takes over. What is the word of Mahmoud Abbas actually worth?
I mean, it's like taking the word of a teenager to clean his bedroom when it hasn't been cleaned in 20 years and he doesn't even have a broom. And Mahmoud Abbas says he's going to stop Hamas taking over a Palestinian state. Hamas is by far the most popular Palestinian party. According to the Palestinians' own polls, it would win a landslide if elections were held. And the reason is that Hamas is seen as having delivered a historic achievement with the October 7th massacre. Hamas is getting credit for recognition of a Palestinian state because it proved that its strategy of barbaric terrorism works. The only thing now that is stopping Hamas from taking over the West Bank is the Israeli security presence there. So if the Palestinians want to move forward towards a future of peace in the region, which I really hope they do, it has to come through disavowing terrorism. And that means the world has to tell it terrorism doesn't work. They can't look back at the October 7th massacre as something that took their cause forward. They can't look back at October 7th as their Independence Day, right? And that's exactly what the Australian government is doing. It's telling Hamas, we're going to reward you for the most barbaric and savage massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. They're encouraging more of it, and that is only making Hamas more popular, increasing its popularity because it's seen as having got that reward from Australia and other countries.
Yes, but you're ignoring the obvious benefit, and that is you'll probably get a lot more votes from the left and the Muslim community here. So, you know, swings and roundabouts, Eylon Levy. Look, it's an embarrassment, absolute embarrassment. Thank you so much indeed for your time.